folks, welcome to my channel, D versus Debt. This is D. If you are new here, this is my little journey that I'm sharing with you guys about how I've paid off almost $70,000 in the last almost 5 years when I got serious about attacking my debt, and I started following the Dave Ramsey steps, and that's helped me reach a lot of my goals and be where I am today. Just in 2019 alone, I paid off $25,000 of that almost $70,000 debt. So I'm going to be sharing my tips and how I got there, things that I do, all that. So for today's video, I'm sharing my 2020 budget planner, the little system that I came up with to help me stay on track and see my patterns and do all of that. So I started off 2019 with the go big or go home mentality. And I went home pretty quickly when it came to my planner. I started off with a very, very big planner because I wanted all this information in it. And then I quickly got overwhelmed with it and abandoned it. And that's not something you want to do. So for 2020, I'm going small. I actually downsized to a tiny little planner, as you can see here. So what I did is I went on AliExpress. I have a video about that where I spent basically less than $10 for the setup, which is the planner itself. It's a fake Hobonichi, as well as the cover for it, which you'll see has a lot of really nice features. And then the little holographic shimmer paper, the vinyl sheet in between there, which is something, you know, it's not necessary, but I loved it. I love anything shiny and pretty, and so this was less than a couple of bucks. So altogether, this system was less than $10, and it's something that can fit in my purse if I need it to take it with me, or I can keep it in the car in a pretty discreet place where no one will notice it, or just, you know, on my dining room table, wherever it is. It's very portable. It's just a great size. So I'm going to share with you how I set it up and how it works. So basically, in the front, I attached a little receipt holder. So in here, I can slide in a receipt. As you can see, I treated myself to some Burger King. And once I'm ready, I can then log this and put my receipt somewhere else, or whatever it is I need to do with it. But this is a very handy place to keep my receipt. I love the sticker that I put in there. It says a budget is about giving every dollar a purpose, because really that's the whole purpose of having a budget planner. I'm actually a tracker instead of a planner. In other words, I don't plan ahead. I track everything that I do so I can see my patterns, see my problem areas, all of that. So that's the very first part of my planner. In the second part, this is a year at a glance layout. So if you're not familiar with that, it might be hard to see because the print is so light. But basically you have 12 columns, one for every month of the year. And then you've got here to the sides numbers 1 through 31. In other words, one for every day of the month. So that creates a little tiny rectangle. Inside each of these rectangles is where I can either put, if I have a no spend day, I can highlight it a certain color or write no spend, whatever it is I want to do so I can see it was a no spend day. Or add up everything that I spent that day, and let's say on January 1st, all of my expenses added up to $37. I would put that there. So I can just see at a glance, and as it fills out throughout the year, exactly how much I spent. If I wasn't able to pay off a lot of debt, let's say in March, then I can look through here and see, well, it's because I went crazy spending money in other ways instead of putting it towards my debt. So on just one page, one spread, you're able to see a lot of information that can be helpful for you in your debt-free journey. In the top, if you notice here, there's a few blank spaces before the days of the month start being listed down. And so for here, I want to put how much debt I paid off that month and how much interest I paid each month. Those are very helpful pieces of information because, for example, let's say January, I was only able to put $160 towards debt. Hopefully that'll get me motivated to look at this and figure out what I can do so that in February I can pay off more. You know, information like that. Also for me, it's really important to track how much I pay in interest because that really gets me, you know, just lights the fire. I hate how much I spend in interest every month. And so to me, that drives me to pay down my debt faster so that I can shrink the amount of money I pay towards interest. So when I refinanced my house last year in February, over half of my mortgage payment was just in interest. So, I was just imagining a few $100s going to waste. It's like lighting a couple of $100s on fire. I don't get to do anything with that money. The bank gets to keep that money. And so that's a big driving force for me, to see how much I'm spending in interest every month and to watch that number shrink and to work hard to get that number to shrink. So from there, you go into your monthly pages, your monthly view. For me, I work a ton of side hustles in order to have extra money to either put towards debt or to treat myself to something fun. So because of that, this is my side hustle monthly tracker, and it helps me see how I did that month. So for example, here I might say I did a yard sale and I sold this much. Over here, I can say I house sat for my friends and they paid me this much. Over here, I can say I worked at my part-time job as a cashier, and I got paid that much. So basically, again, in one view, one page, you can see in the month how much you made with your side hustle. Easy way to track that. Now, the Hobonichi, or in this case, the Hobonichi, the fake Hobonichi, has a spread where it's 7 days of the week, but I cover up those days of the week and replace it with my budget categories. So for these 6 right here, I have a budget of $360 and I break it down per each individual one. So for example, food, I have a budget of $100 per pay period. So here I can put in cash how much I spent overall on food, or in credit or debit, and then my grand total all together here. So I can see, did I stay on budget? Did I go over? Did I go under? Things like that, again, to track my progress and to see how I'm doing. The last one, other, is basically bills and things that come up, like oil change and stuff like that. So all that goes under the other category. I like to put a little calendar view here on this page so I can highlight the days that happen to fall in that particular pay period. And I can put a little star if it was a no spend day, or whatever you want to annotate to yourself on the little calendar page. For each pay period, I also like to see how much overall I put towards principal, how much I paid in interest that particular pay period, if it happens to be the pay period where I do my mortgage payment, and then how much I was able to put towards savings. Also, I like to list my side hustles, like if I worked 3 different side hustles, I would put what they are and how much money I brought in doing that. So again, lots of useful information just on one page. You're able to see so much in one little spread. Okay, so then from there, I have a setup here where I log either all my credit card transactions or all my debit card transactions. This is where I kind of stray from the Dave Ramsey plan. He's against using credit cards. For myself, though, now that I am consumer debt free, all I have is my mortgage left. I do have an Amazon rewards card, and I treat it basically like a debit card. So I use it to rack up points and get free stuff on Amazon, but I pay it off as soon as I make the charges. That way I don't pay any interest in it. In 2019, I paid a total of 48 cents in interest for the whole year. And I was actually upset at myself that I had to pay that. So it can be done if you are able to be really strict about paying everything off right away. Then you can use a credit card as long as you're very responsible with it. So what I do is I log all my transactions, and then each transaction gets color coded just so I can see, again, patterns, problem areas, things like that. So because this is a new one, I'm going to go ahead and show you, for example, a couple of pages out of my one that I'm actually using. This is my real one. So when I first started using this was back in October. And here, this happened to be the very first pay period that I used this system. Happened to be a weird situation. So I volunteered to take 2 students to Chicago as a chaperone. That's my creative way of getting to travel for free, basically. So I'd never been to Chicago. I volunteered to take those 2 students. It was stressful, but again, the reward was seeing Chicago without having to spend a lot of money. So as you can see, the green area, food, I always do tend to spend a lot of money there. And so this kind of helps me realize, like, oh, slow down when I start seeing that I have way too many green transactions, or when I'm getting close to my $100 budget limit. This one, normally the brown is for gifts and donations. I usually only do $20 a paycheck for it, but I let it build up. So for example, here I went well over $20. This one was for a lady that was doing basically a GoFundMe. She's a cancer survivor. And so that went to her. So that depleted my $20 gift fund for that particular paycheck, but I had more built up. And that's how I was able to do this number. You might assume if you see the word Safeway that this was food, and that's why it's important to color code. This was actually a donation. I bought gift cards and goodies for my parents to house sit and pet sit for me while I was away in Chicago. So again, that came out of my cash envelope where I've been putting money aside for that. For my fun money, I basically only give myself $20 a week or $40 a pay period. And you'll see obviously this adds up to more than that. But again, I've been letting them build. And this was a special occasion. One of the students I was chaperoning really wanted to go to Wrigley Stadium, so I paid for the taxi to get him there. The other student I was chaperoning really wanted to go to the Art Institute of Chicago, and so I paid for the entrance fee to get in so I can go with her. Things like that help you track. The 3 yellow transactions that I have here for gas, I have a budget of $60 per pay period for gasoline, and as you can see, I went over it by $4, which is no big deal if you have extra money set aside. But if I was like, let's say at $100 this pay period, I could see like, whoa, okay, what's going on with my budget? Do I need to readjust, or do I need to calm down with that? You know, things like that. So color coding, because I'm very visual, helps me spot patterns and things like that easier. So the last part of my Hobonichi is in the back. So what I've done here is I have a handy dandy little pocket that I can slip a couple of my cash envelopes into. So I've started making cash envelopes. I will be listing those for sale, but these are very handy. So for example, I happen to love this particular one because it looks to me like a bunch of tiny little pennies. And because I'm pinching my pennies, I think this is just super cute for that. So the way cash envelopes work, for example, for hobby, for me, this tends to be like planner related, like buying stickers, traveling to Tucson to be with the planner ladies, things like that. So I will be putting money in this envelope, and as I need to, I take it out. So for example, for hobby, maybe it's $20 to drive to, let's say, a meetup somewhere like in Tombstone, let's say. I would, instead of taking that money out of my gas budget, I could take it out of here as I've been filling this in with every pay period. So the nice thing about cash envelopes is it helps you really avoid problem areas. So maybe you just need a couple of cash envelopes to keep your spending in check for your problem areas. For me, it happens to be food, things like that. And so it helps to use this to keep you in check. So again, for this, it happens to fit in a Hobonichi sized planner in the back cover, and so you can keep this with you and take this with you, into the store, or keep it in your car, things like that. So anyways, I hope you found this helpful. Let me know if you have any questions. Again, I love the fact that altogether the system is less than $10, and even though it's so tiny, it packs a lot of useful information in there that'll hopefully get you going on your budget journey. Anyways, thank you so much for watching.